Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very odd, special episode of the Shooting the Schmidt podcast. We are in a time of quarantine, as you are probably well aware, and as such, it's inadvisable for me to have guests who are at least not tested for the COVID 19 virus. So, it's been 24 hours. I'm bored, like the rest of the world. Um, I have nothing else to do except talk to myself, so I figured I'd do that. Um, I think we'll call this something interesting like the Shooting the Schmidt Isocast or something like that, because I'm isolated, you know? Um, yeah, so what's going on with all this, beside the obvious, which we've just stated? So what's going on in the world, in my world, since I'm both the host and guest at this moment in time? Well, it's 5:26 a.m. Just heard somebody get up. That's all. Anyway, what's going on with me? Well, since the last time you saw me, I had my third amateur bout in mixed martial arts, um, of which I lost. Yeah, not a good night. Not a good night for me. Good job to Demonte Wells. I think that's his name. My opponent got changed like a couple times. Anyway, I think his name was Demonte Wells. He was a tall drink of water, about 6'1". Really, really rangy dude. He ended up closing out the show with a Darce choke, is what it was announced as, but in my opinion, it was a what I would call a modified guillotine choke. If you're watching this as opposed to listening, it's going on YouTube, so you will have the ability to see regardless. But if you are watching, or if you're listening rather, um, what I'm doing with my arm is I'm grabbing my bicep on the other side of my arm and folding my other grabbed bicep arm over the top of my other arm. That was the type of choke it was. Very Darce-like, in that you grab the bicep, you pull the other arm back, except you tuck it over the top. It was a weird sort of neat thing he did. Very neat adjustment. Yeah, there was no getting out of that after that other hand was tucked over. Yeah, I was going into the negative for air, so I was either gonna pass out or tap out, and I chose tap out because I know that's passing out. That's not good for your brain, man. Whether it's because you're getting knocked out or because you're having your oxygen restricted in your blood or via your windpipe, which in this case it was. Yeah, so good job to Demonte Wells. He was making his amateur debut. He's now 1-0. I am now 1-2. Yeah. And how do I feel about that, you may ask? Well, I mean, I'm happy with my record insofar that I've put in two good performances, albeit I've had two defeats. In my opinion, I can still be satisfied with myself because my first and second bout were something I can say I impressed myself with, regardless of the fact that the first one ended on a big error on my part. I think I gave it everything I had and got to show a lot of the skills I wanted to in that fight. I didn't leave the cage feeling like I could have done more. And then the second fight, which was the other good performance, I won in less time than it took to walk out. I mean, who can't be happy with that, am I right? Third fight, I feel like I could have done more. This one actually kind of got to me for a little bit, if I'm honest. I tried to keep a good face about it for a good while, and that worked, but occasionally it would, like, come back to haunt me, because I wasn't so much beat up over the fact that I lost. That shit happens. I was kind of more so disappointed that I really didn't get to show everything I had. I basically only did one thing, and getting too predictable with that one thing got me caught. So I'm 1-2 now. Record doesn't look good on paper, but insofar that I'm showing promise to myself and I'm proving things to myself in regards to my skills, I'm happy with that, and I can be content with that. In keeping with the subject of MMA, a lot of stuff's getting canceled right now, and rightly so. I mean, a whole bunch of people, the majority of the world isn't in perfect health, so any of whom peoples are compromised to some extent are at risk, to my understanding at least. So, yeah, a lot of great events have been canceled, but hey, that's the reality we have to deal with. It's either that or have a whole bunch of people die as a result of negligence and the desire to gather. Regardless of whether it could bring all of us in this rather boring period of time some stimulation in having some good fights to watch and, you know, be swept away by. And in keeping with the subject of MMA and quarantine, Khabib and Tony is just, it's just cursed, man. This is the fifth time, and it really seems like this is not gonna happen anymore. It's just like, holy crap, dude! It's like a perfect seesaw of injuries that plagued either person. Like Khabib got injured, Tony got injured, Khabib got injured, Tony got injured. It's like the gods were just literally rallying against this fight happening. It was like it was fated to never happen. And so, since fate couldn't get either of the two to quit going at the fight, it just had to make neither fighter able to fight with this whole quarantine business going on. It's just like neither fighter would give up, no matter their individual delays. So Mother Nature had to step in and then just like destroy the world with a virus, you know, and have put the whole place on lockdown, and force us to put the whole place on lockdown, the whole globe. Yeah, so like anybody, I'm gonna be really bummed if Khabib and Tony never happens, or if it happens too late and they're both like 90 years old, like the memes say. Shit, pardon my language. Just touched something on my computer that I didn't mean to. Yeah. I have nothing new to say about that, really, other than my own personal opinion. which is basically the same as everybody else's at this point. That would be just such a disappointment, and it seems like it's gonna be. And above all, I mean, in keeping with the cliche talks about what's going on in the MMA bubble, it's gonna be a real damn shame if Tony Ferguson never gets his title shot. Like, holy crap, man. As much as I'm not even as much as he has earned it. Period. That's all you really need to say that title fight should happen. He's on the longest win streak in UFC lightweight history, tied with Khabib, and just wouldn't make sense to not do it. It would be a disjustice or an injustice for it to not happen. But on top of that, on a more personal note, I feel like it would be such a huge shame if an individual like Tony Ferguson, who's like a symbol of creativity and innovation in the sport at this point, didn't get the opportunity to be on top of the world and hold up what he is and who he is as the greatest for the glory of the world for himself. That's a bit wordy, but I would be so let down if that symbol of creativity and skill and hard work never made it to where he deserved to be. Never made it to the opportunity he deserved to get. If Tony takes that fight with Justin Gaethje, it's really just a needless risk at this point. I mean, as everybody says, it's great for Justin, but I just hope Tony makes a smart business decision there. I mean, but who knows if he'll make it? The man's a psycho. In almost every sense of the word. In almost every sense of the word. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I very much respect that. And maybe even admire that. Yeah. But yeah, it would be just a damn shame if he never got the opportunity he deserved. Just from a personal standpoint and just from a what kind of a precedent it sets standpoint. Somebody who's on that long of a win streak being denied their opportunity would just be straight up criminal. And thank God everybody in the world is on board with what I'm already saying here. That would be straight up criminal. And everybody wants Tony to get his opportunity as much as he wants his opportunity, which is just a beautiful thing. In a way, that gives me a little bit of faith in humanity, if only for the fact that people are sticking up for Tony's privilege to, or rather, Tony's right to what he deserves. But that's enough of that. What else is going on? In our world, the MMA world. I mean, that's really it as far as MMA goes. I mean, that's the biggest news anyway. Sorry, weird sounds at 5 a.m. 6 a.m., pardon me. So what's going on in my world at this point, I guess? Some more of what's going on in my world. Interview myself. So, I've been watching a lot of anime, eating a lot of hummus, um, exercising frequently enough to keep myself up to my, or down to my heaviest athletic weight, about 174 or 5. Yeah, 75's the highest. That's usually best for me with the amount of muscle I got right now. Beyond that, I'm just getting progressively more fat. So yeah, keeping the weight reasonably low. I just ordered myself a new pair of running shoes because all the other running shoes I got are trashed right now, basically. Or at least they're not adequately supportive. So I can get down to not only my heaviest permittable weight, but back to my optimum weight, ideally, while this quarantine is still at play and I can't really train, like anybody in a formal sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so other than that, I've binged season 1 through 2 of Hajime no Ippo. For those of you weebs who are familiar, weebs, anime peoples, great boxing anime, would very much recommend. Short summary, it's the story of what you could describe as a almost like small town farm boy, sort of, meeting a great boxer and being inspired to take up boxing by him. If that's, I think that's how I remember it. Anyway, something along those lines. Yeah. Just some dedicated kid who works his family business, works really hard in school, and then suddenly discovers boxing one day, and then discovers that all the crazy amount of work he's put in, from lugging around buckets in his family's fishing boat company, has granted him ungodly punching power. And then his skills develop from there as he meets his idol, I guess you could say. Yeah. That's the most reasonably accurate description I can give at this moment. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I've been up for 24 consecutive hours, which is partially because I was sleeping 14 hours prior to now, or prior to those 24 waking hours, which was a result of not sleeping normally days before that. So, it'd be like that. Yeah. But yeah, Hajime no Ippo, great boxing anime. I'm gonna procrastinate finishing it in the 3rd season until my next fight, which will be, who knows when at this point. I mean, it's supposed to be July, I think. But COVID isolation got pushed further forward in Illinois. So, who knows when that could be, but I want to save season 3 of Hajime no Ippo for some inspiration when I get to my next fight, my next kickboxing fight, this time around. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be my debut in kickboxing. That should be some fun. I mean, the rounds are shorter. I can go a little bit crazier, a little bit more often, have a higher output, higher power output, all that lovely stuff that comes with shortened time limits. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun to kind of just slam my foot all the way down on the gas pedal for 3 rounds. It's kind of a rare opportunity, I guess. Not really rare, but not typical to my ventures in the combat sports world, where amateur MMA rounds are at least 3 minutes instead of 2 like kickboxing. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, so what else have I been doing? I've been trying to chew gum lately. Kind of helps prevent me from putting myself in a food coma, because I'm bored, you know? Boredom eating. So yeah, I try and chew gum to keep my mouth busy. And to keep me from eating my hands also out of nervous energy that is unexpended, largely. At least until I do my home workouts and whatnot. If you have any suggestions for pastimes, drop them in the comments below, please. I would appreciate it. I'm sure any of you few who consume this channel's content would also maybe appreciate it as well. I've been applying for jobs. That's cool. Yeah, it's almost the 1 year anniversary of my hiatus from college, so I want to have a job secure by then. Hopefully I can change my life around a little bit once I start acquiring a little bit of money in whichever way. Take care of some stuff more myself, more independently. That'll be cool. Yeah, so I've been applying for jobs. That's one thing I've been doing. Other than that, really just revisiting old nostalgic stuff. I just like video gaming, you know? Devil May Cry 3 mainly. Basically, exclusively. It's a great game. I would very much recommend it. I'm pretty sure there's an HD collection on the I don't know if it's the Xbone or the PS5 or 4 or something like that. Yeah, I'd recommend getting that HD collection though if you can get your hands on it. Great stuff. Plus, I'm sure they've added some new cool shit to it at this point with the special edition at this point. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I think they did. I think they added co-op Bloody Palace, which is like survival mode. To all you who are unacquainted with the game. Yeah, so revisiting Devil May Cry 3. Beautiful hack and slash, really set the standard for the genre. Very smooth gameplay. Really, really high octane smooth, cool cutscenes. Yeah, just all I could personally ask for in a game, basically. Really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Okay, so Caleb, what have you been doing specifically for your home workouts? Well, largely I've been doing a lot of crazy shit, or at least a lot of stuff I don't usually do. Um, Aside from like doing rounds in the bag, doing bag work, I've been doing a lot of really high volume push-ups and rows. Like the other week, or like the other, not even a week, it was like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. I did like 220 push-ups and like 220 rows with a 25-pound dumbbells. And I was completely dead for, or at least completely sore and destroyed for about 2 or 3 days afterward. Um, yeah. So I think I need to adjust my volume and my intensity on that. That was as much something I thought was, that was more something I thought was an interesting test of ability than I really thought that was a good idea. Or maybe I'm just saying that to cover my ass. Who knows? But yeah, I did that. And it was brutal. Um, Probably won't do that again. Or at least not that much. And it really didn't make my tendons feel nice. Yeah, so I'll probably bump that down. The total volume down to like at least 50 less reps, maybe. Something like that. 150 of push ups and rows is still pretty ludicrous, considering I haven't been doing quite that many even when I was in full on training. We would do maybe like 20 at the beginning of each workout block, so I wouldn't hit more than like 80 or 100 in a day. So over 100 is really progressively overloading already in terms of volume. I also did sprints in my backyard, like, or the best you can do sprints in a backyard of the size I got at the moment, you know? Um, I did sprints one day, and I wanted to do it daily. Make it like a habit, so I could really make sure I was testing my cardio on, testing and building my cardio in a efficient and different and interesting way than I'm used to in that specific format. But before I got a chance to build that habit, it decided to rain, which was delicious. Made things very nice and muddy. So I didn't dare do that because my one pair of running shoes, which are somewhat serviceable, have huge cracks in them, which don't let me even touch water unless I want it to seep into my socks. So, yeah, that didn't become a regular thing. Yeah. I'm trying to keep the basic stuff I do, like the core work, crunches, and things like that, and the push ups I'm still doing in sufficiently less volume, more interesting by watching action movies as I do it. Both to, yeah, keep it interesting and, kind of draw from the high energy of the movie. So that's a strategy for you if you're struggling with maybe lethargy or maybe some specific form of lethargy like food coma, and you need to try and get yourself to work out. Try and watch something really high octane and see if it gets you psyched up before your workout or during your workout, which is what I was doing. Yeah. RoboCop's a fun film. RoboCop's a fun film. I knew it was rated R, but I didn't know it was just gonna be so hilariously, ludicrously gory. At least at some points. A dude melts for God's sake. Like, that's pretty extreme. And if that doesn't get you psyched up to do another 50 push-ups, I don't know what will. But yeah, fun movie. Nice satire of you know, American culture and capitalism baked in there, along with some maybe some illusions of what it means to be human in there, or maybe I'm just grasping at straws to sound intelligent, who knows. But yeah, a lot. That was a neat thing, you know. What's his name? Rediscovering his identity as who he used to be. That was cool. Hmm. What else did I watch? Yeah, speaking of identity, there was the other movie I did watch was called Tootsie, which was about this guy who was a down on his luck actor who couldn't get any roles, so he decided to cross dress, and then he got a really good role, and then just started discovering himself through this new lady character he made himself, which was interesting to behold. Very fun too. Interesting and fun to behold. Also recommend that. Yeah. And for those of you who are actually cultured, it sounds like I'm recommending very basic things. And the only reason I'm doing that is largely because this seems very unbasic to me for someone who is as uncultured as I am. In the 20 years that I've lived, there are a serious number of films I'm lacking in my basic vocabulary, I guess, or basic understanding, or familiarity with. Yeah, so I've just been going on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb's top 100 movies you need to see lists, and then going for all the top 5 or whatever, and just making sure I see those. So those last two movies were somewhere on the top 100 80s movies you must see list. So that's where that's why I happened to watch two movies in the same time period that were all-time classics, or at least they say. I know RoboCop's an all-time classic, I hear, but I'm not sure if Tootsie is, but whatever. Good movie nonetheless. Some say Mrs. Doubtfire is better, but I don't know, man. It's also pretty good. I gotta refamiliarize myself with that movie too. I haven't watched it in a while. Okay. I watched today I watched Princess Mononoke, which is that one Japanese film I think came out in 1999, animated, very beautiful too, very beautifully animated film for the time. And it's that movie you see a lot of imagery for, where there's this lady with this pale lady with like wearing a wolf skin hat thing, and then like red war paint. Yeah, it's weird. I knew about this film before I knew about this film, I think. So, let me explain. I periodically binge Pinterest for tattoo ideas because maybe at some point in the future when I'm not ludicrously broke, I will get a tattoo of some kind. So, yeah, I would always see tattoos of Princess Mononoke on Pinterest, and they were all very beautifully done too, equally or better done than the actual film had actually animated her. And I was so familiar with this image before I ever knew what this film was. And I was on Rotten Tomatoes or the IMDb top 100 or top 10 lists section, and I found this film, and I watched it today and finally understood what it's all about. Yeah, evidently, a lot of people who are like pro environmentalists get like tattoos of Princess Mononoke because she's like symbolic for pro environmentalism, because she's somebody who was raised by wolves and is actively working against forest devastation in the movie. Um, Working against humans who she hates because she was raised as a wolf. Yeah. Yeah. Also a great movie. Would also recommend. I won't say too much more than that because I don't want to spoil it for you. Yeah. But yeah, interesting relationship I had to that film before I had ever seen it, really. Mm. Yeah, there are some other great anime films I need to see really soon. I just added Ghost in My Shell to my movie bucket list. Um, yeah, I feel like it's something I'd like because I hear it's cyberpunk, very cyberpunk heavy. Or it is a cyberpunk like style of setting, and I've always liked stuff that's like cyberpunk western and like futuristic, like things that usually combine with westerns, like Trigun and other such things. And Cowboy Bebop to some extent. I don't know if that's cyberpunk exactly, cyberpunk western, but yeah, I know I've always liked some elements of cyberpunk in the content I consume. So maybe I'll like this film too. Um, Both because of that and because it's supposedly a really great film. So I will find that out soon. You ever sit down so long you just start to lose circulation and your hands get cold? Mm. It's like 60 degrees in this room too, so that could also be partially explanatory of why my hands are pretty cold. But yeah, if this isn't the vibe of just the entire world right now, I don't know what is. Just like complete and utter. At least for a lot of people. Yeah, it was driving me mad. Like the other week, I was constantly out for like 3 days. I was really on edge for like, I won't say no reason because this is the reason. Um, that and a lack of sleep, which may be cyclical in this whole process of being irritated by being cooped up inside. Yeah. Yeah, so quarantine for me, it's been less than ideal. I really miss training, but I'm doing what I can to I'm doing what I can to keep things from going totally off the rails, as you do. Um and with any luck, when I get my shoes in the mail by sooner than next week, we can get this fitness momentum. What's something relatable I can ask myself or explore conversationally to the world and to the ether? I'm sitting here staring at my laptop. It's got a problem now where, even though it's perfectly stable and perfectly plugged in and secure, it starts charging and stops charging. So I had to disable the beeping sound because it was probably contributing to my slow descent into madness. Especially when I would wear headphones, because the beep would be especially loud, possibly to a dangerous degree for my eardrums. So I fiddled around with some things unnecessarily and then realized I had this Realtek Audio Manager thing pre-installed, which I could just mute the beep with really easily by clicking the soundboard thing. What do they call it? The mixer? Yeah. Yeah, so that was a nice little adventure. I'm trying to drink a lot of water. I'm not sweating as much as I'm used to, which is a horrendous quantity. So I'm trying to drink enough water so that it keeps my skin not completely shrouded in acne. Because when I would sweat so frequently, it would open my pores and I would expel a lot of the disgusting oil, and fat and gross shit that was in my body. And sweating would also force me to drink more water, which would keep my skin clearer, which is nice. And yeah, so now I'm just trying to make myself drink like a bottle of water like every 2-3 hours. A little ASMR for you. Thank God we have the moisturizing hand soap in our house, because I've been washing my hands a lot. Not to a freakish degree, but, just enough to be a little more cautious than I usually am. Like, if I touch something that I know might not be perfectly clean, I'll, wash my hands. Whereas, maybe if I did in the past, I might have ignored it. But at this point, I mean, I know I'm probably not at risk for anything, but I know people I care about probably don't have as strong of an immune system as I do, so it's just kind of the right thing to do to start with yourself and do what you can to protect the people uh, you care about. And it sounds like I'm making this. I'm inflating the importance of the task and the grandeur of the task of washing my hands, but it really is that simple. It's just, yeah, wash your hands. It can go a long way. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking around the room for inspiration. For clarity of the listeners and those of you who are watching this, observing me look around my room like a moron. God damn. I hope those shoes get here. I have flat feet, so running in most shoes that aren't made for that really sucks. Yeah, I feel like my feet start to rip apart. At least after a certain amount of intensity or mileage. Yeah, it's never been a problem in training otherwise, but running in the shoes I got now is a bitch. Yeah. So everybody's talked about the whole toilet paper fiasco at this point, right? Yeah, we've been there. My question is, why aren't the canned goods disappearing? Well, in part, in some instances, I do actually have an answer to that. The answer to that question, which I do know the answer to, is they're setting a limit on that stuff and basically everything because people are lunatics who want to buy all of it at once. There's just going to be, there is, and there just will be that one guy or gal or individual who is just gonna buy every single can of black beans that exists on the planet. Um, because they want to be prepared. Or they just really like black beans. Who knows? Um, maybe both. But yeah, I guess that's an alright policy. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else stores could really feasibly enact if they really had to, or could do to curb hoarding. I'm gonna just slip a boxing glove on my hand because it's really cold sitting on this microphone stand. Um, for the record, this is disinfected. This boxing glove that I'm pressing against my face is disinfected. And now, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm staring at the minute counter on my recording device, and I'm being very astonished at the number of minutes I've consumed rambling, but also being astonished and not having the energy to be that physically surprised about it. Because, like I said, 24 hours awake. Because life has no meaning. Just kidding. Life has meaning, and I should probably maybe set some kind of routine. If I am going to lack a certain sense of, what is it? Solace in the regularity of things that no longer exist at this moment. If I do continue to, or do begin, whichever it is, to lack solace in my current situation, maybe establishing a regularity to the things I do will help. As I've heard it does. And I know it does from the experience of living in the world where this coronavirus, COVID-19, wasn't a problem. I had a routine, and that was pretty cool, actually, in some ways, you know? Oopsies. There we go. There's approximately 10 minutes of recording time left on this program. So, should I summarize? Should I say goodbye? Maybe I'll do both. Maybe we should start, or end, with something to look forward to. Comment on things we're looking forward to when the world resumes, or things we're looking forward to in light of the new opportunities of the current circumstances. I'm actually looking forward to running again consistently. I'm looking forward to doing more weird stuff, just weird, high intensity stuff that I would otherwise not invest the energy into when I'm already under the volume and intensity of a otherwise well written workout program, or well adjusted workout program for MMA training. I'm looking forward to doing more weird stuff where I attach bands to my head and run around doing shoe shines. When things resume, I'm looking forward to sparring again, seeing if I've gained or lost any steps since I've been basically in the just basically been cooped up in my abode looking at like stuff I can try once I get back. Looking at stuff I can try and testing weird stuff I can try. I'm looking forward to sparring again. I'm looking forward to going back with a healed body, which this virus quarantine allows me to work around easier, actually. Yeah, if I have an aching joint, if I have an aching knee, aching elbow, wrist, whatever, I can just avoid throwing that limb amongst my hand-selected workouts at home. That's a nice little advantage of this unfortunate circumstance. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the newness of everything. Just the newness of the old stuff, the newness of new things I can bring to the gym once I come back from this training camp at home. I really, really look forward to seeing the people I normally train with, and, people who are my friends, seeing them more consistently. That would be a very great positive. Yeah, in large part, the socializing I've done during this break has just been, talking to people over social media. So, which is good, especially when you have funny people to talk to. If you'll remember, or maybe I won't remember because that's 24 hours, and then I just started thinking about something else as I was saying something. Well, anyway, maybe I'll remember what I was trying to remember. I'll say you'll remember in a second. Any rate, I'm looking forward to the newness of the oldness and the newness of the newness when I come back to training. I'm looking forward to what's basically a clean slate for my body's bill of health. I'm appreciative of the fact that I'm not sparring probably guarantees me some level of increased health to my brain. Not that it was really terrible to begin with when I was sparring, but certainly sparring versus not sparring, you're going to have better brain health if you're not sparring. Yeah, so that's good. That really makes me happy. I do care about my health as much as I like to risk it. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to new things and clean slates. Comment below what you're looking forward to. And comment if you or just like this video if you like this video. I think this is where I'm going with this. I think this is where I tailor off here. Yeah, so like the video if you like the video. If you want to see me ramble a little more, leave comments below. If you think you liked it, on things I did right with this, if you think I strayed a little too much amidst my sleep depravity, if you would like any questions answered, if my audience is big enough for that, please leave comments below. I will, in all likelihood, answer them. I will answer anything that will not get me blocked by YouTube, essentially. Yeah. That's basically the boundary. So yeah, comment below on anything you would like to see in future videos, what you thought of this video, or just random stuff. Who knows? Whatever you want, man. Just any and all is appreciated at this point. Our fan base is small here, so any input is good at this point. Alright. And I think that'll be it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Don't breathe the air. Don't die. Exist in a vacuum. And do good at it. Be a responsible human being in all seriousness. Don't cough on people. Or sneeze on people. Or anything nasty like that. Don't excrete bodily fluids on people. Okay, bye.